BMW have just revealed its most, affordable electric SUV crossover ever. It looks pretty decent. Very polarizing styling. Now, it won't be coming to the United States. A lot of other countries will get it, but not the US. Now, I personally don't think you're missing out. People are going to say, what? Why? I'm going to explain why I think this version of BMW's iX2 is just not a car you really want to buy anyway when it comes down to it. There's one key reason. Hello, my friends. Welcome to the channel. Great to see you. Thank you for tuning in. I'm Sam Evans. You're watching the Electric Viking. Welcome to all the new subscribers. Great to have you. Welcome back, everyone else. BMW have revealed their iX series, or in fact their X series of vehicles. iX series, the iX2 is the EV version. That gives you a little clue as to why I think this is not as good as what it could have otherwise been. Bit disappointing, actually. This car in many ways is similar to Toyota's BZ4X. Now, the statistics, though, the stats, the power numbers, the range, actually looks pretty decent. The iX2 was just revealed, and it marks the debut of BMW's second generation version of the iX2, which now comes in all electric guise for the first time ever. But there is a diesel version and there is a gasoline version of the same exact car that comes on the same exact production line. Bit curious there. Anyway, like the iX1 that came out last year, the new coupe like iX2 is polarizing many people. Some people are saying they think it looks fine, and if you don't agree with them, then you're simply a hater. Others are saying they think it looks terrible. What is going on with BMW's wacky styling? Some people think it looks just all right, but they'd never buy one. So I'm curious to know what people think on the styling of this. I know a lot of people are very vocally against BMW's current styling, but their sales are going really well. They're actually beating Mercedes this year worldwide for global sales, which I've got to admit is a surprise to me. BMW don't currently make any cars, to be honest, that I aspire to in any way, shape or form. I don't have any interest in them. For me to say that, that's telling you something, I think, because remember the movie Ronin? Remember they had the old, the M5? I loved that BMW M5. What was it, the E79 series car? Something like that. Anyway, those old 3 Series, those old M5s, those old M3s. Those were some of the coolest looking cars. I even loved the X5M, those older versions, and even the more modern versions until BMW's very polarizing styling over the past 5 years really has turned me off the brand. Now, I know it's just the style of a car. There's a lot more to a car than the style, the substance. But for me, that definitely is a reason why I don't aspire to own any particular BMW. Now, what do you guys think on that one? Do you agree with that? What are your thoughts? Much like the iX1, this is a relatively affordable BMW electric car. It has 313 horsepower, which is 230 kilowatt, and it has a temporary boost function, meaning you can temporarily increase the torque to 494 newton meters, which is 364 pound-feet. Now, apparently, with a fully charged battery, speaking of the battery, I'll get to what that is in a minute, the iX2 can do 259 miles of range, which is 417 kilometers. But there's another version that'll do 279 miles, which is 449 kilometers. Meaning because of its unusual coupe-like shape, it gets a couple of percent more range than the iX1. Now, speaking of performance, it can do 0 to 62 miles an hour in 5.6 seconds. That's 0 to 100 kilometers an hour, 5.6 seconds. So performance is pretty decent. It's about in line with the latest version of the Tesla Model 3 standard range. Top speed is 111 miles an hour, so 180 kilometers per hour. DC fast charging is rated at 130 kilowatt, but you can pay extra to get a version that does 175 kilowatt fast charging. Now, you can actually option a 22 kilowatt 3-phase AC charger that you can use at home if you have 3-phase power to your house. And if you don't, you can actually get that installed. But anyway, that's an option that you can buy if you want to. And using DC power at the highest possible charge rate, the iX2 could theoretically charge from 10 to 80% in 29 minutes. That's using the upgraded DC charging version of the car. So you pay extra, you get the 175 kilowatt. Then in theory, you could charge from 10 to 80% in 29 minutes. But that's in theory. Whether or not you can achieve that in the real world is another story. I don't really know. Speaking of the battery though, what battery is it? Well, it's not an LFP battery. It's a nickel manganese cobalt battery pack, and it has predictive thermal management that's automatically activated when you use the built-in navigation system, a little bit like Tesla uses in terms of battery heating. So that obviously if you preheat the battery pack before you get to the charging station, you can charge faster. Similar to the recently revealed i5, the iX2 features the latest version of BMW's max performance charging software that optimizes charging efficiency by allowing the highest possible power rate to reach the battery as soon as the charging process begins, even at state of charge levels lower than 50%. But it needs to know in advance that you're going to be going to a charging station. So if it's not aware of this, it won't actually work. So keep in mind, the maximum possible charging speed is still a fair bit slower than many of its competitors. Hyundai Ioniq 5, of course, Kia EV6, many other models, even Tesla's models have 250 kilowatt charging speed. So not particularly fast charging speed. So BMW calls this unusually shaped vehicle, which I personally am not a huge fan of, but I think it's okay, a sport activity coupe, or SAC. The iX2, along with its internal combustion powered X2, can be ordered with an optional illuminated kidney grille, just like on the larger X6, while LED headlights are standard as they are on almost every car you buy these days. So if you want to make that kidney grille stand out even more than it already does, I personally wouldn't want to do that. You can get it to be illuminated and stand out, but I don't know why you'd want to. Anyway, the rear end has been redesigned, and I've got to say, I think the rear end actually looks pretty good. It's, in my opinion, the best looking part of this car. But I just think the general side-on profile and the front profile could be improved, put it that way. Inside, the iX2 has dual-zone automatic climate control, comes with a heat pump, which is good. Even some Mercedes-Benz EVs, BMW EVs that have been sold in the past didn't have heat pumps. So a lot of people will tell you that's not true, but it is true. If you read the news, you just type in Mercedes-Benz no heat pump. It'll give you a world of information that will educate you on some of the comments you're seeing out there, which are misleading people. So having a heat pump is a really good feature. So that improves cold weather efficiency. Plus, you get Bluetooth, cloud-based GPS navigation, a bunch of other features which are pretty good to have standard. And you also get a 10.25-inch display and a 10.7-inch display, but that's optional. What about the volume in terms of the trunk or the boot? It's 525 litres with the seats up. So it's actually got a fair bit of boot space. How big is this car? It's actually sort of a similar size, a little bit bigger than a BYD Atto 3. It's 179.2 inches long, 4,555 millimeters, so around just over 4.5 meters, 72.6 inches wide, that's 1,845 millimeters, and it's 61.4 inches tall, that's 1,560 millimeters. It weighs a fairly considerable weight. In fact, it's just slightly heavier than a Tesla Model Y, 4,453 pounds or 2,020 kilograms. So why is it so heavy? Well, it's made at BMW's manufacturing plant in Germany. Obviously, they don't use gigacastings or structural battery packs or anything like that. Although there is a new European premium automaker who has just ordered gigapresses. We don't know who that is. Could be BMW potentially, but they won't be using it for this car. The other thing to keep in mind is that this is not an EV built from the ground up. It's basically an internal combustion engine built vehicle. It's been converted to an EV. Like I said, it's built on the same production line. So it's not an EV specific chassis. That gives it a bit of a weight penalty versus EVs built from the ground up. That's one of the reasons I would say avoid this car. Now, there are other EVs you can buy from other manufacturers, a lot of them now, that are EVs built from the ground up. And that means they have less compromises. They're generally more efficient. They generally weigh a little less. than other cars that are not built from the ground up. So they're generally just better vehicles all in all. And I think if you're going to spend this kind of money on a car, that's what you would expect, and that's what you should pretty much demand. A second version, though, will come in the summer of 2024. So, will that new version be an EV built from the ground up? Well, I don't believe so. At least we haven't been told that yet. Will the new version come to America? Well, it very well could. Who knows? However, it's most likely it won't unless it's being manufactured in the United States by BMW, because, of course, then it would qualify for the $7,500 EV incentives. Probably wouldn't be profitable for BMW to send EVs made in Germany at this lower price. Obviously, the iX2 are a lower price car. Send them all the way from Germany to the US, where they don't qualify for the EV incentive, and you've got to pay all the shipping fees and everything else. It really wouldn't make a lot of sense. But it's not something I think you're really missing out on. That said, BMW and Mercedes, their EV sales this year in America have been actually extremely impressive, massive growth. So could you see a vehicle like this being made in the US soon? I'd say probably. But let me know your thoughts on this car. Is this something you'd consider? Do you agree with my criticisms? Do you disagree? Let me know in the comments. Thank you for watching.